Welcome to Brain Health Besties, a human-forward podcast for those of us who want to feel better but don't know where to start. I'm Bailey, a licensed professional counselor.
And I'm Nia, a qualified mental health professional.
And I'm Shelby, a human.
We are so glad you're here. And we believe that you deserve to know how your brain works and how to nurture it, even when self-care feels a little challenging.
We focus on kindness to ourselves and recognizing our own needs with as little guilt as possible because your brain deserves a bestie.
Stars in my eyes, I can't see which way is right, but oh, if there's one thing that I know, it's only up front.
Hey besties, the practices we talk about here are great for your brain, but this podcast isn't treatment. If you're feeling overwhelmed, please call or text 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Help is always available.
Hey besties, welcome to a Learning Together episode, The Gift of Time, Slowing Down to Show Up. In a world that is fast-paced and it prioritizes packed schedules, we need to intentionally build meaningful relationships, not always by quantity of time, but quality of time. Today, we're going to dive into the brain science behind quantity and quality of time and learn some tips and tricks.
I am personally really excited about this conversation, mostly because y'all, the mom guilt is strong and around this topic, and really trying to spend intentional quality time with my family and my people sometimes feels hard. So I'm really excited to hear all your secrets and tips and tools and tricks and take some things back with me to my spaces and with my people to really get that quality connection time in. But before we go there, let's self-assess. Let's do that. Take that moment to maybe take a deep breath in, a long exhale out, and ask ourselves how we're doing in this very moment, and then put a rating to that from 0 to 5. How are y'all?
Yeah, I am probably at a 2.5, which is a little bit higher than our normally rate. It's been a marathon of a week.
Yeah. I think I'm going for a 2 as well. I don't really have a lot of reasons why, but that's just that it's a little more elevated than I normally would be at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm probably at like a 1.5 today. We're a little coming in a little bit slow, but I'm also kind of in a goofy, silly mood and just sort of embracing that. So that's where we're landing today, about a 1.5. Thanks for the check-in. I always kind of appreciate that moment to settle in a little bit and see how we're all feeling so that we know how to best support each other and show up for each other.
That's what it's all about, right? I think before we dive in, we probably need to define what quality time actually is. And Bailey, as our resident brain science nerd, would you mind filling us in?
I would love to fill us in on quantity versus quality. So if we're thinking about quantity of time, we are talking about the minutes, hours, days measured of time we're spent with someone or something in activity, right? So it's not necessarily about how deep that connection goes, it's about amount of time. And if you go back to our Learning Together episode number 7, we talk a lot about the benefits of those sort of fast connections with people that are maybe a little more surface level, not very deep. And there is a lot of research that supports those kinds of connections are really helpful for us. In this episode, we're focusing on quantity of time. So defining quantity of time looks a little bit different. When we're talking about our quality of time, sorry.
Lots of cues.
And there's a lot of cues and they're too
That's
close.
why we're defining them, though. That's why we're defining it.
So quality time is all about intentionality. It is about presence. And I think the one that sort of struck home most for me is emotional attunement. So not just being with somebody, but kind of being on the same page as far as why you're here, the vibe or the feel of the connection, and really spending time in that. And so that's kind of what we're going to dive into, what quality time looks like, how we can harvest and harness that in our everyday lives that feels real and relatable.
Yeah, it sounds like, I'm sorry, Shelby, were you going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say that it really sounds like mindfulness, right? That quality or that time spent with intention. And when our brain wanders away, as it is built to do, we just gently invite it back.
Yeah, it really is sort of a kind of mindfulness, because the things that are indicators for quality time are things like active listening. Am I really paying attention to what somebody's saying? Our nonverbal cues, the head nods and the eye contact. And then the one that kind of caught me off guard a little bit too was kind of with that attunement is emotional resonance. Are we all feeling similar? It doesn't have to be the same, but similar in this moment, or the expectations of what we're going to do in this moment. And I know for me, sometimes that piece can be tricky with my people. It's like what the expectations are, and are we all on the same page?
It made me think of like building relationships, right? Because it sounds like, this quality time is really finding things that, again, like you said, might be something that we already have in common maybe, and we build closer to it. It feels like slowing down.
Yeah.
Yeah, slowing down.
I think that slowing down piece is so important because this world is so fast paced and so on to the next, on to the next. We have this huge list of things to do. So I think that slowing down piece is really key.
I'm curious how this shows up for you all in your day to day. Like I talked a little bit about the mom guilt piece of that, but what do you all notice in that quality versus quantity? How is this showing up in your day to day? What are you noticing?
Yeah, I have just kind of a generic story. My best friend and I used to live together. We were roommates for a couple of years. And so we had an abundance of time together. And those quality, really intentional moments just kind of organically happened because we were in the same space all the time. However, we are now long distance besties. She lives across town from me instead of across the house. And we have to really intentionally curate time to spend together. And that means putting our phones down and just being present with each other instead of all the other stuff that is happening.
That kind of fires in my brain, and we've mentioned this study before, but the Harvard study of adult development, which again is just one of the longest standing studies that's studying multiple generations for not centuries, but decades of time and over families. And the biggest common denominator for overall well-being, we talked about the reporting self-satisfaction and happiness and longevity, is the quality of our connections, not how many people we are connected to, but the depth of those connections, which actually increases our lifespan when we have quality connections. It improves our overall determinants of health and our well-being. It decreases our risk for autoimmune diseases and things like diabetes, and the health ramifications, the physical health ramifications for having quality connections with people it's hard to argue. And so when we talk about that, like how it's impacting our health, but also the idea that time, then it's this dichotomy of, we know that it's really important, or science is leaning that way. And also we live in a world where time is a commodity and a one that I think, Shelby, you talk a little bit about manufacturing. Can you talk a little bit about time and kind of how it's this valuable thing we have?
Yeah, with all of the technology and all of the things that we have, we can manufacture or create almost anything or more of almost anything. But the one thing we can't make more of is time. There's a finite number of hours in the day, and we have responsibilities that take up quite a bit of that time sometimes. And so all we have left is a finite number of hours to really intentionally connect with each other.
And then what do we do with those? We talked about, when you were talking, it made me think of, for me, it is my workout in the morning. So when I think about it now, I probably moved it to the morning on purpose, because when I first started working out and really getting into it, it was after work, and trying to kind of balance that with my family life and other things that I wanted to do. But now I can't even imagine, going after work instead. I also couldn't imagine finding this group of people that is at the gym as well. So it is quality time for myself, but also being able to bond with these different ladies. But when we talked about it a little bit further too, we're just now starting to kind of add some extra quality time in. Maybe there's a few of us that like to actually walk after that big workout too. And then we're trying to find dates that we can all get together. So yeah, fitting it all in, how do we fit it all in?
I think that might be where the mom guilt comes in
Yeah.
for me because I mean there we have so many after school activities and my kids have lots of interests and so we do all these things and so our weeks often look like okay we get off work and they get home from school and then we're on to this activity and then it's soccer and then it's gymnastics and then it's aerial and then it's anything else that could possibly be going on. And there are so many nights where it comes to bedtime and I am so tired and I'm just like, I'm ready for bed. And then once I get in bed, I have this immense amount of guilt because I'm like, where was the quality connection time? We did so many things and there were so many activities. And I just get almost like this bit of grief over time lost. And so where do we build? And we're finding ways to do that. Like one of the things that is fully protected and that we do every single night is we at least have 5 to 10 minutes of either telling stories as we're putting the girls to bed or reading a story. But how do we create or what ideas do you have in creating more spaces where we're having that quality time in a world where time there's never enough of it?
Yeah. I think Bailey said two things that really resonate with me. A, guilt. I think that is something we all feel, whether it's guilt that we're not giving people enough time or guilt that we're asking people for time. And I just want to remind everybody that our emotions don't need judgment attached to them. We are allowed to feel our emotions and we're allowed to feel that guilt. And we can either live in it or we can work towards steps to get out of it. And I think that's brings me to the second point, B or two, whichever way I went with. But rituals are really something that we can use to help us give time to ourselves and to others. Bailey, you build in those 5 to 10 minutes every night to intentionally connect and tell stories. I love my best friend. We try to have dinner at least once a week. We're not always great about it because life happens, but we try to have that intentional connection. I build a weekend into my calendar where I go and spend with my parents and I'm just there. I'm not doing work. I'm not doing anything else. So I'm curious about those other rituals that you all have.
Yeah.
Go
Sorry,
ahead, Nia.
No, you were first.
I was just going to say, A, thank you for permission.
Yeah.
Even though I am in this work and I do this for a living, y'all, sometimes I just need to hear it's okay to have the guilt and it's okay to do something about it, or it's okay to feel it and maybe not fix it right away, but figure out what the next steps might be. So thank you for that. For me, the guilt of not spending enough quality time, the guilt for asking for time is also a really hard one for me in trying to say, like, internally, I know I need some one-on-one time with my best friend or with my partner or with whomever. And it feels almost wrong to ask for it. Like I know they're divided in 1,000 different directions and it can feel really hard to say, hey, I need you right now, or I need 10 minutes of your time. Feel selfish at times. I'm curious if you all ever feel that too.
I would say I have too, but I also remind myself, or am reminded each time that I do it, that we as humans are kind of made for that connection. You know, if we can think back to the times that maybe we kind of felt a little bit iffy about asking somebody for that time, but then wow, what that felt like after we did. You know, hopefully it was a little bit of energy that came back and to both of you, right? Because the other person might be thinking the same thing, right? They might be thinking, gosh, I don't want to ask for her time either, or I really want to get together with my friend, but I haven't done it in this long amount of time. But when we both come together, we realize we just gave each other that gift. And that's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah. And it really is a gift. I think if we switch our mindset and the way we speak about time from a commodity to more of a gift. So instead of a commodity that we have to earn, it's a gift that we can give ourselves and we can give each other. And that really helps build that connection.
Yeah, I think that might help kind of not resolve, but help settle some of the this is selfish asking or the guilt of asking somebody for the time for me. Like, hey, I would love to gift you with my time, whenever you have the availability to do so, or whenever we can do that, and kind of switching that perspective as instead of taking, it's me giving, I think might actually help. That is very insightful. Thank you, Shelby, so much for that.
Sometimes I have a good thought.
A good nugget.
A lot of the times. A lot of times. Well, and I think too. I mean, circling back too, that it doesn't have to be big.
Yeah,
I think that might hold people back sometimes too. It's held me back before, trying to get a whole weekend together with somebody. Well, maybe we don't have that, because again, we're talking about that quality time, not just time.
Yep.
You know?
And I want to talk about the emotional resonance and the expectations with that too, because I have a really sort of silly but also very real life example. Our family loves hiking. And when I say our family, I really mean my partner and I love hiking and being outside. And the girls are all in it for maybe a mile or two or an hour or so. And it gets to this point where Mike and I will be like, ooh, we really want to go another 30 minutes, another hour, another mile. And everybody for the first mile or two is like, yeah, this is wonderful. We love nature. And everybody's on the same page. And that emotional resonance is there. We're all in attitude and our expectations are the same. And then there inevitably comes this moment where our girls are done. And then that emotional resonance turns into, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm done. How much longer are we going to go? This is boring. And then the expectation shifts, and then no longer is it quality time. Then we are frustrated because they're not just enjoying it, and all we want is to be in nature and detached and having quality time. And they're not enjoying it because they can sense our frustration, and they're done walking along some trail in the hot heat of Missouri, like all of these things, right? So I think it is. Yes, it's about the quality connection, but it's also about what we're expecting from each other. What are we expecting from this time? Because similarly, if I go out to dinner with my best friend and they're on their phone the whole time and I'm expecting quality connection, the expectation is not level set. We're not on the same page. And so I think having that, again, that emotional resonance and attunement, knowing this is quality time we're spending, so we're going to put phones down. We're not going to multitask. We're really just going to be here with each other.
Yeah. And saying that out loud.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So I was going to say too, that communication piece.
Yep. I fall into the trap of like in my head, I think it's going to be quality time. And then we get there and then I'm like frustrated because they're not spending quality time with me. But I don't ever say that out loud. So it's not fair to expect that from somebody else.
Yeah. That level set expectation saying, hey, I'd love to have a tech-free dinner with you, or I would, and just setting that norm.
Yeah. So some tips we've covered are rituals, setting aside time, and then also communication and making sure we're on the same page when we are spending that quality time together.
Well, and today's practice is the follow-up sister episode is a practice really rooted in that concept that you talked about, Shelby. And this is just like light bulb and dots connecting for me. It's really, rooted in that idea of giving time as a gift versus it being asking for something. And so the follow-up practice is in our Be Well moment is focused on thinking about a time where you had deep connection with somebody and how that felt and how we can give that to other people that we really want to spend that quality connection time with.
Perfect. I'm ready to jump in.
Let's do it. All right, besties, to follow up on the Be Well moment after this episode 22 will be all about the gift of time and engaging in a practice where we reflect on quality time and connection with our people. Take care, and we will see you next time. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to Brain Health Besties so you can find us in the future.
And since sharing is kind, share us with your besties.
If you have mental health or wellness topics you'd like us to chat about, please reach out to bewell@livebrightly.org.
Until next time, be well, besties.
Shining brighter than the sun.